Hello, my name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this is our third session of Apocalypse Keys. We are in that transitional session between missions. We are going to return our characters back to the Bureau of Change, which is our particular division HQ that can be found in the Doomsday Delights supplement for Apocalypse Keys. This session is part of Open Hearth Gaming. You can find out more about that at openhearthgaming.com. We're an online community of people that have a little calendar app, and we have a Discord and all of that kind of stuff. And since we just restarted, I will mention that we have restarted our in community podcast. We had the first episode dropped. Previously, it was part of the sort of the Gauntlet podcast that I hosted for a number of years, and we're trying that sort of same structure again. So there are links at that webpage for how to get to that feed. All right. So we're going to go around and have folks introduce their characters just briefly. We're going to be bringing in a new character into play and getting them set with some questions there. Wendell, give us the elevator pitch for yourself.
Wendell is the hungry. He used to be a roughly Northern European academic who got into the occult, in a bit too deep, and found himself a good old magical curse that makes him leak magic and secrets, but also able to eat them.
Excellent. And Samuel.
I'm Dominic Him, and I play Samuel, the summoned, and I am an angel of the Most High, and the Most High is like very close in my mind to Azathoth from the Cthulhu myth, like this uncaring presence in the center of the universe. And I was sent here to colonize the planet or make it ripe for colonization. And I've been doing that for a few centuries before I got um, caught by division and deprogrammed. And now I'm struggling with my need for worship and love and my angelic rage and keeping all of that under tight wraps.
Excellent. And Amanda.
As me, I use any pronouns. I'm playing Amanda, she, her pronouns. Amanda's the found. Amanda is a sentient book who was crammed full of knowledge by her creator, and then left basically with a I'm sorry. And she was later found, she took human form, was later found by Division, and since she didn't know anything else to do, she's with the mission now, I guess. Yeah.
Excellent. And so we did a mission before with these three characters. You can reset your darkness tokens back to zero when you go back to base. Don't reset your ruin and don't reset your conditions. Leave them as they are. If you have any marked, they will remain, um, which I think is important for building up those conditions on a short play series like this. So, Teal, um, tell us about your conception for your character. Do you have a name yet? It's always the toughest part.
I I have a name, but there's a complicated story to it, so I'm not going to start with that.
Okay, please go ahead.
So my character is a type of companion that is generated by a mysterious crystal orb, which seems to have unusual insight into the structure of the universe. And typical companions might be somebody might have a companion human or a companion dog or maybe even a companion like little computer. And something has gone wrong. And my character, when they were generated as a companion, um, basically they failed the integrity test. And so because they failed the integrity test, they were never given a material form. So my character is just hanging around as a numinous sort of conduit to um, they're still connected to the crystal entity or whatever it is. Um, but they have a flawed understanding of the world and a flawed connection, maybe. Um, this my conception is that this crystal, whatever it is either something that Division has access to or Division owns. So I don't come from an alien location. I'm come from within Division, plus or minus. But initially Division was just like, oh, look, there's a broken companion. We're not going to deal with that. But since I just kept hanging around and somebody finally was like, oh, well, let's see if we can deal with the situation because the crystal has not removed the companion, but the crystal has also not completed the companion process. So Division's sort of like, well, what do we do to deal with this?
I like that. Um, Tell us about some of the picks you've made, the what could you have been, and the powers of darkness.
Right. So, just a second. The skipping the name part.
Sure.
The most interesting thing about my companion's name is that it is a name that I have found in a book or doing research. As far as the look goes, a couple of things are one, I have hair that never falls out of place. And the other, I'm not sure exactly how to define it, but I picked something that hints at my struggle to be human. So
Okay.
my companion is not tangible, but they can appear sort of like a hologram and appear solid. So they can stand in the corner and you might think that somebody is watching you, but if you walk through my companion, nothing will happen.
Okay. I like that.
Um, and then for something that describes, so I picked well, hold on. Probably easier to do it from the character keeper. I just need to pull that. Okay. So from the character keeper, here we go. What could you have been if your community had kept you? Someone who treats others with compassion, knowing that I have knowledge to help them. So I made a slight edit on that one. And the weakness of my doppelgangers, they invite physical intimacy and allow others to touch them. Um, I've got one power of darkness, but I'm not sure about the second.
Sure. You can hold off and
Uh,
pick that other one as you wish. Yeah.
okay, well, it's not that I have one I'm interested in. I just wanted to read up on it. I can't figure out where they are. I picked shapeshifting.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. One of the things about the powers of darkness is they are written abstractly, and
yes,
you get to kind of define
right.
what the extent of them are
Oh,
and
okay,
how they work effectively.
okay. So I will have shapeshifting and uncanny charm.
Oh, nice.
Um, and the shapeshifting is not basically since I'm immaterial, I can just present myself however.
Okay.
And then what the darkness demands of me, I picked two. The first is to break and remake myself.
Hmm.
And then the second one is I picked something else that would make me perfect. Um, my character has an ongoing debate about how they determine if they have fixed themselves.
Hmm.
Because the fact that they were made as they are poses the question, well, maybe this is how I'm supposed to be, but I was obviously rejected as I am. And yet am I supposed to be like all of the other companions? And if that's so, why was I created broken? Or am I supposed to do something? Maybe I'm supposed to transcend the other companions. Maybe I will always fail to be perfect. And so my character has a lot of questions about how do I define um, whether or not my identity is correct.
Hmm. I like it. Um, Let me ask you a couple of questions here before maybe we kind of look at the bond questions. Um, uh, are there the crystal, our division or Bureau of Change has it? You've been created as a companion. Does has the crystal created other companions
Yes.
since you've been created? Um, uh, uh, and like what has been their role, do you think in this department?
Um, the companions primarily provide insight into um, just knowledge about different, um, I would say, sort of insight into different manifestations of reality.
Okay, yeah, absolutely, that's perfect. Yeah.
And so the normal companion can be, like a dog that talks to you and says, "Oh, that doorway opens into a new reality. You shouldn't go that way." Or some companions might be helpful on a more of a, oh, they have a rare disease that comes from this dimension, and so you need to approach it this way.
How do you think it is that Division knew that you were not quite right, not quite finished, not quite completed?
Well, so all of the other companions have a material form.
Okay,
And it's not that I know that there haven't been other companions like me before. I just don't know if there have been.
okay.
So Division may have encountered this before. I don't know. I have a theory
Hmm.
as Teal, and my theory is that the crystal has got microfractures in it, sort of like dark crystal.
Hmm.
And I don't know if Division is aware of that.
I like it. What do you think, before they decided to make you a field agent, put you out on missions, what do you think they had you doing here, in the division, in the bureau?
Marketing.
Marketing.
So
Okay.
periodically, when they would have people tour from other division uh, entities or other contractor companies that maybe are aware of division, they would have me stand up in front of the office as basically a cutout like flat billboard poster of a person.
Excellent. Now you've got two bond questions, and if you there and if you mouse over, it should get the hover for the note on those, but I think you also have them on the playbook sheet. Uh, which one would you like to start with, the first one or the second one?
Let me see where they are. Where'd they go? Sorry, I'm having a
No,
hard
no.
time, but I had them. I was just looking at them a moment ago.
There's a lot of text here to work with, so no
Yeah.
problem.
Oh, there they are. I see. So you were there when my community cast me out. How did my indignation hurt you? Um, and so what question are you asking me?
Yeah, which one of those two bond questions do you want to start to kind of put out to the table to get that bonds
I'll start with
one?
the bond rating one.
Okay.
So you were there when my community cast me out. How did my indignation hurt you? Why did you stay by my side?
Do you have a thought on who that might be, or do you want to put it to the table to see if anyone wants to take that up?
Well, I'd rather put it to the table first. I do have
Okay.
a potential thought, but
Okay. Anyone interested in that? Essentially, when uh, uh, Teal's character was put out there, cast out?
I don't know if I've been with Division long enough, but it kind of sounds interesting.
Okay. Um, so uh, what do you think, Teal, your indignation, like what did your reaction to being kind of separated from community look like?
Um, Confusion and basically, I would have just been constantly changing forms, trying to find the form that I'm supposed to take,
Okay.
and just sort of like almost like a constantly shifting hologram just floating in air.
And how do you think, Amanda, that kind of bothered or hurt or confused you?
Reminded me of something, and I can't put my finger on it. It's
Okay.
a memory. It's a memory. Maybe I did it myself when I became human, because my form is not exactly it's not exactly fixed. But it's mostly, I think there is a memory, and I can't put my fingers on it, and that kind of made me a little glitch a little, I guess.
Okay. And like why did you power through that to kind of remain connected to this untethered?
I think that's mainly because I recognize that was a person struggling to be someone, and I can relate to that,
Okay.
right? Because I've been there basically.
Awesome. Okay. And then uh uh Teal, I'm going to refer you by your name until we get a name for your character.
Yep.
What what is your second bond question?
Okay, my second Bond question is, you love me, but I have never loved before, and I don't know if I can. Why do you think you can show me how? I honestly have no opinion about that one.
Okay. And
I
again,
actually was thinking Amanda would be a good choice for the first Bond,
okay.
so that that's sort of
And again,
Amanda has the same problem,
yeah.
so no.
Uh, again, love can be a strong friendship. It can be crush. It can be romantic love. It can be any kind of degrees of that. It can be a feeling of connection, strong in that way. Samuel, Wendell, either one of you interested in that?
And fits us both, I think. With Samael, of course, it's that love in itself is the main theme of the summoned. And you are, as we quickly talked about in the Discord, you are another instance of logos, of like the word have become manifest, and that is very attractive to Samael because it represents some sort of quasi divine order and structure. But also, you are a walking secret, I think.
I think it's just between love and hunger there in some ways. Samuel, let's if it's okay, I think that
Absolutely.
Samuel one seems really on point. Uh, um,
If you want to take it, Sinner, then I'm fine with that. Otherwise, I would take it.
No, I think the bond that Wendell would have would be pretty standard of like, ooh, you're a thing to eat. Ooh, you're a thing to eat.
um, so given that bond, the question is, Samuel, what makes you think that you can help this untethered to gain that sense of love that sort of dominates you?
um, Everything fails, I can just order him. Um, um, I think it's very similar as with Amanda. That I think like I think Samuel can fundamentally not conceive of a being unable to love, and always thinks that they both will get there eventually if only they have somebody being there for them.
I like it. Does that work for you, Teal?
yeah.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is we're going to kind of move forward to the group returning, we're going to call some scenes. We'll kind of do some scenes questions with the returning players, and then we'll kind of roll roll your character in. So essentially, we take up a few days after that last mission, which went well, though there was the loss of an agent, but they were already lost long before you got there. And it was successful. So you have returned back. And again, huge house, bigger on the inside than on the outside. This weird giant room divided up with dividers, broken into different areas as best they can, with weird trash that kind of continually appears. Wendell, what thing has changed in the division Bureau of Change HQ since you vanished and appeared at the mission? Like what has changed? A new thing that appeared, or has been removed, or personnel, or something?
I think the uniforms have changed.
Okay,
Or if they weren't uniforms, there are now.
there are now uniforms. What's the dominant color for the uniforms?
Uh, I think it's a very like English boarding school gray
Okay,
kind of deal.
absolutely. So we've got a lot of the agents. Everyone's still speaking French, but they're in a boarding school style uniforms for all of the sort of the general staff and so on. Uh, uh, Samael, what big department event is coming up? Is it a birthday
Um,
party? Is it a human resources briefing? Is it training? Is it something else?
I think it is the fifth anniversary of Squad Commander Betsy's appointment to the um, point. And yes, I know that last time we saw her, she was an intern, but
Oh,
things change.
absolutely. Fifth anniversary. So we'll make sure we change her to squad commander. Uh, there. And Amanda, uh, what's a new surprising uh, resource or benefit that is now at the Bureau of Change? You know, is it an additional stipend? Is it something new in the cafeteria? Is it a gym? What is new that has been added?
I think it's a garden, like an indoor kind of garden. There's this new greenhouse thing in the middle of the room, and you can, if you walk in, it's a garden. It's bigger on the inside again. Yeah, and it has all kinds of mostly standard flowers like hydrangeas and some trees and stuff, and some birds that are also not super unusual cardinals, but they're all very colorful, right? Cardinals, blue jays, what have you. Um, yeah, and sometimes somebody might think that they can understand what the birds are saying, what the trees are saying, or what the flowers are saying. But that is relegated to conspiracy theory, and people should do not as many drugs for
Okay,
now, at least.
excellent. Wendell, I want to start with you on the sort of questions. I want to give you a chance to call a scene, either with another PC or with an NPC or something to just show us like what your kind of daily life is here. What would you like to see? What would you like to put on screen?
I think I wanna uh, go down and see the librarian, mostly as a way of finding out like where would what was his name, the guy who died?
Oh, that was not Egther, Weeper.
Weeper. I want to find out where Weeper got these files on me from. I want to see if there's more of them.
Okay. So you will head down to the library. This is the one kind of section that is not housed in this giant room, because the archives are vast. There's some rumor that the library connects to other division HQ libraries and so on. Um, do you think that you find Demetria in the stacks, or do they have like a librarian's cubicle, or a reception desk? Like, what do you think that is?
I think they have a reception desk with like a place for them to like generally do their work, but I think Demetra is mostly just, due to her nature, mostly just stands in a stack when she's not doing anything particular. So I think she's just like leaning with her forehead up against one of the stacks. And it's hard to tell if she's a corpse or not at the moment.
Okay. Super still. I think there is that bit where you kind of have to look around, kind of walk through the stacks, and eventually will uh, uh, get sight on her. And as you approach, there is that shaking as she rouses, and she will turn, and again, her jaw hanging there just below her skull, and her voice kind of coming out from nowhere. She will say, "What can I do for you, Agent Wendell? If you're here for a snack, this is not the place."
No, no, I'm looking for something more mundane. Um, and I'm gonna pull like if the particular documents I found had like a serial number of some kind, I want to like rabble those off and see if I can get that past her. I,
Personnel
I'm, I'm
files.
yes, I found these on a mission, and I think it would be good uh, if I could follow up.
Follow me. And she will glide, drift through the stacks. That kind of unmatching shelving units and filing cabinets and so on. And eventually will drift down to an area and will pull open a drawer, and will reach in, and she will pull out uh, a, a hanging folder, and she will say, "Well, this is your file, and we have documents in here. Would you read that serial to me again?"
Oh, I don't remember it precisely. It's leaking all the time, but that's as much as I remember of it.
And she will kind of hold it open, and it looks, as you're kind of looking at it, and you've looked at that file that you found that had the info on you, it looks like it's mostly identical. But I think even you can see there's a couple of color changes and things like that. Like, this is clearly a different version of your file.
Are these the only copies?
And she continues facing it, but that head kind of owl-like swivels to look at you. And she says, "It is said that Director Mittens has a copy of everything,
Of course they do.
but this is the physical copy. So I don't understand, unless the file that you found is an adjunct, an addendum."
Hmm. Well, thank you for your help. I'm gonna go to speak to Mittens.
Okay. And they will uh, put this back in and shut the thing with a like a kind of a boom as it closes. And as you know, because of your penchant for secrets and eating them, Dimitri does follow you out to make sure that you exit.
I know where the exit is, dear.
Yes, yes, you do. Uh, Samuel, I want to give you a chance to call a scene.
Mm-hmm. Samuel is sitting in, I think he has like his quarters, so to speak, um, are a perch atop of a library shelf. Um, and he is sitting there um, and is watching TV with like a black tendril into going into the audio jack, so he doesn't make a lot of noise.
Hmm.
Basically, his version of wearing it with headphones, and he is um, looking um, for instances of rebellion, and particularly of like art-based rebellion going on in the world. You know, stuff like statues being defaced with color, like public art protests, stuff like that. And he's trying to draw a pattern to see how far along his lover is, as she is, or as they are, or as he is, traversing the world to get ever closer to Samael and leaving this rebellious creation in their wake.
So, what do you see that maybe catches your eye uh, happening in France?
In
What
France.
is a thing you see there that feels unusual enough that it rings a bell for you?
Mm, in France. So I think um, the instances or the manifestations of my lover's um, influence always tap into the cultural subconscious of a people, and there we probably see Paris burning. We see the presidential palace being barricaded. We see a very colorful and also like very like visibly and openly and transgressively queer form of protest. We see um, members of the Front National being tied up on lantern posts. Um, that kind of stuff, like where it gets violent, but in a liberatorial fashion.
I'm going to ask you one more question on this.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see in this that feels like an encoded but very direct message to you?
What feels like it is directed at me is um, this liberatorial violence, because I'm no stranger to violence. I've been inciting violence my entire existence on Earth, but my violence has never been liberatory. It has always been authoritarian. It has always been uh, it has always been destructive.
Mm-hmm.
And and I know this handwriting. Like whenever that happens, that is Lilith doing.
Excellent. Do you think it makes you, is it attractive to you? Is it repulsive? Is it meant to make you feel smaller or invite you into something? What do you think?
Yes to all of that.
Okay. Complex cavalcade of
Yes,
reactions.
yes. Like I I don't trust and expect humans to be able to create mass movements on that scale without help. Um, and I know that when we meet, this will be the fulfillment of the prophecy, um, of us both becoming the the harbinger and being the crucible that remakes the world. And I've come to kind of like, if not humanity, at least the world as it is.
Hmm.
And I don't want that. So there's definitely trepidation and unease in there. Also, everything I've worked so hard on in the last decade since Division found me um, is threatened to be unraveled by Lilith's presence. At the same time, their chaotic energy is very enticing.
I like it. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Amanda, what scene would you like to call with an NPC, with a PC?
I think Amanda will go down first to the. Let me check my character. What's the name of the place? Is to the Forbidden Archives to return the book that she took because you're supposed to return stuff, and also Amanda wants to look at well, wants to start searching for maybe some traces of her creator down in the archives because I think she scoured the library before for that, but didn't find anything so far. But I mean, these are forbidden archives. Where else would you go to find stuff like that, right?
Do you think it's Demetria that oversees that, or
No.
Snippy, or someone else?
Ooh, I think it would be Snippy. I like Snippy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Snippy is evil. It's kind of evil,
Yes.
right? Their records, yes. But that's fine. I get to say, with the head librarian, what esoteric rule do they demand everyone follows? And it's Snippy. And I think there are very clear paths that you're supposed to follow. And ideally, you're supposed to float. But
Ah,
stepping outside of these paths is forbidden. You can't do that. Otherwise, Snippy, was it Snippy? Snippy will
Snippy.
snip you. Which Amanda is not entirely sure what that means, but it sounds unpleasant. So, yeah.
And Snippy says, "Hi, it looks like you're trying to return forbidden lore.
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Please put that on the table."
Okay.
This book is different and in a slightly changed condition from whence you gave it out.
Yes, it contains some anomalies. Yeah. Don't maybe open it unless there's some kind of containment or something.
It
It
looks
also
like you're
has an
trying to
agent in
create
it.
an extra dimensional prison.
I think the book was.
And now you're hoping to get other books? Is that what it is? Because that seems unlikely.
I know I'm not, I don't want to take any out. I just want to look at that. I'm looking for something.
Do you have gloves?
Yeah, I
Good,
do.
good, good for you.
Mhm.
So, if you'd like to glide in here and tell me what it is you're looking for, and then I'll decide, we'll decide, they'll decide what we should do.
Okay. You know, somebody created me and put all these unsorted memories into my mind. I'm looking for a trace. Looking for a trace of them.
All right, But just remember, when you gaze into the abyss gazes also.
Okay, fine. I don't remember much, so.
All right. So Snippy will lead you through continually critiquing
Mhm.
minor things about dress, asking you, could you perhaps glide better than that? That kind of thing.
I will, at one point or another, I will ask, what's their pronouns? I can look that up.
They,
They
it.
would look, would ask it what it, I realize that you are trying to either improve me or to just be or to intimidate me. Why?
Snippy kind of does that turn. And again, it is sort of one dimensional as it turns. And it says, why do you breathe?
Um, I think because it's something that humans do and that this form is kind of human. So yeah, because of that,
Let's go with that answer then.
that is, does not make any sense.
Doesn't have to. Kind of shoots down away from you, evading your question.
I hope you feel good now. I'm continuing.
Um, so you take into how do you know that you're in the forbidden section here? Do you have to go through a door? Is the lighting different? Is the color temperature different? Like what it is it that tells you now you're in the forbidden section?
I think it's because, yeah, reality is slightly thinner. It's kind of hard to explain to a human mind what that feels like, but it is a clear feeling that people like Amanda or other omens can access that the reality is just thinner here. Nothing is quite as fixed as it's supposed to be.
And Snippy will turn to you and say, "You don't want to stay here long. We
Oh,
sometimes get parasites.
oh, I mean, I will take care. What should I do if I meet a parasite?
You should run."
Oh, okay. Cool. Um, can I try to do something to slow it down?
Cindy, give a question?
Uh,
Can
Or, or
yeah.
would Snippy consider me a parasite, or is it talking about something
oh
else?
yeah, Snippy considers you a parasite.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Um, Sippy will say, parasites weaken the boundaries between this layer of reality and the next one. You don't want to be here when that happens. Sometimes it summons a supernumal energy entity
Oh,
as well.
oh, interesting. I mean, yeah, I will certainly be careful about that.
What do you find here that is a fragment or a clue or a bit that points to something about your past?
I think I will find some kind of recording, and I think it is some kind of, yeah, I think it's some kind of music. Um, it's clearly not, I mean, it's recognizably music. It's made for transporting emotions, I guess,
Hmm.
and art. It is not clearly, it's most akin to a Gregorian choral, but not with voices, but with something else, a woodwind instrument maybe. And I think what Amanda clearly recognizes, though she is not entirely sure how, that this is a so what's the word? An sort of an elegy, a burial song,
Hmm.
something like that. Yes. And she recognizes it. She doesn't know how, but that is that she realized this was one of the memories that was put into her. This is not originally from whoever she was before. This is one of the memories. It's very clear, and this is a recording of something that should be remembered by someone because whoever originated this piece is gone.
Flash drive, cassette, record, 8-track tape. What's the medium?
Oh, I like that it's cassette.
Okay, yeah. That kind of worn where the tape is a little crunched in places
Mm,
that you have to go out and find a player to use. Okay,
yeah. Mhm.
awesome. Uh, Teal, uh, normally you would have been sent out with the field team that you're associated with, Wendell, Samuel, and Amanda. Uh, what what happened that you weren't sent out? Like what were you doing? What were you occupied with? What were you recovering from? What do you think that was?
Um, this was going to be my companion's first mission with the team.
Okay. So maybe you
And
trained with them, met them, worked around the office with them.
um, uh, and I was all ready to engage the process, and I was doing the basic forms that you have to fill out for each mission. And one of the questions was, "What is your name?" And at that point, I had not actually considered having a name, so I got stuck.
I love it. Yeah, and they needed to get you out, but you kind of trapped there. Have you figured that out yet, or are you still processing that?
I have spent much time in research. Um, so I have done a lot of research on biomorphs and several things that I have noted. One, many biomorphs are binary in structure. I have noted that many of the biomorphs in division are humans who are binary in structure, although they seem to be um, multiple in nomenclature. Um, I have determined that I wish to be a companion of the type Wi-Fi,
Hmm.
a Wi-Fi companion. I have found that in the research material, the most praised companions are Wi-Fi and Husbando, and so I shall be a Wi-Fi. And the most adored Wi-Fi in human records was Rosebud, so I shall be Rosebud.
Okay. Which of the your teammates do you go do you bring them all together to tell them, or is there one that you go to talk to about this name change?
No, I go to Amanda. I
Okay.
feel a kinship of um, knowledge-bearing entities.
And when we first see you on screen here, have you taken a human form, or are you still in that sort of glow when we have you cross paths with Amanda?
Um, so I actually am currently working for the marketing department still.
Okay.
And so I appear to Amanda as a cardboard cutout of a man in 50s business suit with labels across me saying "Work smarter." What was it? It's funny things I just looked at. Work safer, work smarter, stay the course. So I'm a flat cutout with big white background text going across me in basically work slogans.
So let's set this that this is Amanda. You finished up in the stacks. When you come out and see the cardboard cutout that you know has been assigned to your team that you've interacted with before.
Okay.
Welcome. I am very excited.
Um, okay, yeah. What about?
I have chosen uh what it is called name. I have chosen name.
Oh, oh, cool. Would you let me know?
Yes.
Please tell me.
Oh, now?
Whenever you feel comfortable.
How will I know if I'm comfortable?
Do you feel, you said you felt excited. Was this a good excited? Like, were you feeling like, yeah, this is a good thing?
Yes.
Okay, then I think you are comfortable.
Oh, good.
If you are not feeling fear or anger or something that does not feel good, then you might be considered comfortable, I guess.
Okay. My name is Rosebud. I am a companion of the type Wi-Fi.
Okay. Rosebud of Wi-Fi. Pleased to meet you. You can
And
call me
I changed
Amanda.
temporarily into a sleigh or a sled. Cardboard cutout of a sled.
Okay. Oh, okay. You are a sled? No, I don't understand that. I'm sorry. I have a vague memory, but it's a bit jumbled in there right now.
Is a sled not a good companion?
I don't know. I've never used a sled, but I think it's a mode of transportation, isn't it? Mode of transportations are usually good. I guess. Yes, they are. Oh,
Modes of transportation seem very companionable, but
yes,
there are many companions on a mode of transportation, although not on a sled.
I think a sled is a fine thing if you have snow. I think yeah, they are used.
Many of the Wi-Fis look like this, and I changed into a female anime character.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Would you
Oh,
prefer a sled or this? Or would you prefer I become a bullet train? I can become a cutout of a bullet train.
I think you should be whatever you prefer.
Um, I, Rosebud dissolves into confusion.
Oh, you don't know what you prefer?
Rosebud briefly rematerializes as the man with the labels. Um, my preference is to help people.
Okay. Um, I guess I would feel more comfortable if I had something that looked like human-ish, because yeah, I think I would be. That's why I took human for myself.
So Rosebud changes to be an imperfect copy of you.
Oh, well, is that what I look like? I think so.
Mm, I am not very good at this yet.
Neither am I.
think that's a good line to cut on. And I think all of you will get the buzzer of alert that tells you that you need to get to the mission briefing area. We're going to take our first break here. When we come back, I'm going to have people pick their XP question, the focus question, your impulse, and then we're going to go to the mission briefing and move on to the mission. So let's take 10, and then we will come back.
I have a question though.
Yes,
Before we
absolutely.
go, because of the impulse question, do we choose that now and it counts towards the next downtime phase?
The impulse question will read anything that you did in this session.
Oh,
If you
okay,
think you
cool.
already did
Okay,
something that
cool.
relates to your impulse, you should feel
Yes.
free
Okay.
to check that as your pick as
Yes.
well.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Uh, let's start with Samael. Um, you still have despairing marked as a condition. Like, let me ask you this: are you hiding that, or do we see something of that condition still kind of hanging around for you?
Um, yeah, I was wondering about that myself because it was tied to Wendell um, trying to eat the box last time, and
Right.
that situation is over. But maybe in a more general sense, I'm uh, despairing because what I saw on TV, and also that everybody is kind of not really rising to their full potential. Um, so there's like a low level despair,
Hmm.
like tinging everything, not unlike unlike what I maybe people feel right now in the real world.
And which impulse question do you want to mark for this session?
The one that I have already marked,
Okay.
and that is, did you learn something significant about your prophecy? Which
Okay.
I already have,
Yeah.
but I think we're still at that stage of like building up the prophecy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's super fair. Amanda, uh, you still have defensive marked, so like, do we see something of that, or are you hiding that? Like,
As a player, I actually forgot about that. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No, no,
So I
no.
think Amanda, I think Amanda is hiding it, trying to act
Okay.
in a way that would not um, lead into that because we're home, right? We're supposed to be safe,
Yeah.
right? Aren't we?
And
Except for
which
extra-dimensional parasites.
which impulse did you mark?
I marked. Did you reclaim a fragment of your memories? And I also think I already did that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Perfect. And then Wendell, you still have lonely marked. Um, do we see something of that? Is that what drove you down to the stacks, or some other manifestation, or are you also hiding it?
Uh, I don't think Wendell is like at all capable of hiding his emotions to begin with,
Okay.
even if he were to try. Uh, so yeah, I do think you can see it when he's not obsessed with finding out what more they possibly know about him.
Okay. And which impulse do you want to mark?
Uh, so I don't know if uh, Rosebud and Wendell have actually officially met yet, but I think if they were to, Wendell would find Rosebud as like, oh, that is just pure learning. That is something that is fantastic. I can't let that become whatever I am. I gotta protect that.
Okay, I like it. And then for Rosebud, which impulse do you want to mark? You are muted.
You're still muted. We can't hear you, Rosebud.
Right. Thank you. Part of me wanted to put did you let yourself believe you could be loved, but I think it's too soon for that. Rosebud has hopes because he Rosebud is being listened to, which is both rewarding and confusing. Um, but so I went ahead and marked, did you harm yourself in pursuit of perfection? And most of Rosebud's harms, it's very hard for Rosebud to be harmed in a material way
Hmm.
because Rosebud doesn't have a material constancy. But Rosebud has primarily struggles with how to decide things and whether or not it's okay to decide things. Um, so
Excellent. I think that's great. So we will see the four of you file into the mission briefing area. We look at the LCD screen set up, and there's an IT person trying to get the video working for the display to put you at the table. And we will see Assistant Director Hoffman there to give the briefing, but Director Mittens also lounging on the table, observing. And Hoffman will say, "So we are sending you out shortly, you four. We have reason to believe that a string of supernatural deaths taking place around the St. Renata Seminary in Barcelona indicate the presence of a harbinger and door of power. Here's what we know. 3 bodies have turned up, each time making conventional forensic examination impossible. The corpses disintegrated into flower petals soon after they were discovered. The situation is complicated. St. Renata is an active center of learning in a major metropolitan area. St. Renata also houses a returner treatment facility. Returners are persons who escaped kidnapping and captivity by supernatural forces, taken to other alternate pocket, just otherworldly realms. And those people managed to escape back. The facility tries to help those people reintegrate into society. One of the 3 victims was a returner being treated at the facility. So, Division has a good working relationship with liberal elements in the Spanish government, and they have called us in. Church authorities have also been notified, and we have gotten preliminary approval. The church actually manages the returner treatment facility. There is a person on site overseeing that. Your mission is to discover what is going on with these deaths, protect the returners, locate the harbinger, and stop them from opening the door of power. Meta-wise, that briefing is on the Mystery Map tab, and the facets are also there. Essentially, the aspects of the mystery that we're going to be looking into, which are the floral deaths, status of the returners, the harbinger, and the door of power. So those are the 6 things there. Rosebud, you're a companion. You have access to information, things like that. What's one thing you know about the supernatural, either past missions or events or a thing that happened in Barcelona before that kind of pops up as trivia or scattered knowledge for you?
So there was a scandal about 10 years ago where significant numbers of members of the athletic club that owns the Barcelona soccer team started being replaced with cloned individuals.
Okay. So,
And
yeah, okay.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so FC Barcelona
Yes.
has a cloning scandal.
Yes. And
Uh,
somebody seemed to be trying to change the voting for how the athletic club would vote, but nobody knows why.
Okay. I like that very much. Samuel, on an earlier mission that you undertook, you failed to save a returner of some kind. Uh, what happened?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm dropping a big one in your lap there.
Yeah, but maybe I can I can use that and go with it. Like I don't know. I had them. I was tasked to go a um like um into a pocket dimension, or maybe not a pocket dimension, but a door that led like into deep space. And it was a bit of an Orpheus and a Eurydice situation where I found them and I brought them all the way back. And when I returned, they weren't there anymore. But what I then heard is that a that people started to disappear right after I left Barcelona. Nobody ever connected those two things, but that kind of created a bad itch in the back of my head.
I like it. I like it. Uh, Hoffman will say, so we have a contact on the ground. Um, uh, Natalie H. She uh, she is a longtime division associate. Uh, she was a seer for a number of years, which allowed her to get into the good graces of the Guardia Civil in Barcelona. Oh, by the way, I'm an American, so I'm not, you may hear me mispronounce names and words and things like that. I'm going to apologize right now. Um, uh, in any case, her vision powers brought her into connection with us on Division. Uh, just so you know, and he kind of pauses. Uh, she no longer has those powers. There was an incident on an earlier mission, and she ended up taking a fragment of a harbinger into her. Um, you want to keep her out of danger. She's a contact for you to help you out information wise, but she should not be put into any kind of active threat uh, because when she dies, that harbinger will emerge. We have people ready if an incident should occur. That's a long time thing. She has a medical alert bracelet, so we'll know if she passes. Just a heads up. Wendell, you've worked with Natalie before, and you know that she's relieved to have lost those powers. Um, but you also know that she has had one vision of the future that haunts her. What was that vision?
She's gotten a vision of that harbinger inside her going into someone else, like essentially relieving her of this duty. Uh,
Ooh.
but she doesn't know what that will do to her powers.
Nice. Hoffman will say, so we have gotten a approval to use a gate. We will be transporting you to the Glasgow office. We would normally transport you to Paris. However, the situation is destabilized in Paris currently. But there is a plane that is tasked there at the Glasgow site that will then take you to Barcelona. We expect you to arrive there evening local time. Natalie H. can give you more specifics when you reach there, but I wanted to check if there were any questions that you all had.
These returners, do we know where they came from?
As I understand it, the returners that are on site come from several different backgrounds. They each encountered a different supernatural entity that kidnapped them for a time. Um, I suspect that the supervising psychologist can give you more details on that.
Hmm.
Any other questions? All right, then. If you'll go into the gate area, we'll have you. Yes,
I'm
Amanda.
sorry, I thought of a question.
Oh, please.
The flowers these people turned into, were they local? Were they extra dimensional? Or is that a question I should rather ask on site?
We have some pictures
Oh,
that we've seen, and they do appear to be a mix of rose petals and other floral things. I don't have exact knowledge on that. It does appear to be a mix, um, and I'm uncertain if they're local. That may be something someone on site can give you, but that's a good question, Amanda.
yeah, okay. Because we recently had, I don't know if you are, when we came back, there was a garden here with flowers, so I was wondering at the
We've always
coincidence.
had a garden.
Okay, okay, I understand that, but when we came back from somewhere where we didn't.
Oh, okay. All right, all right. Well,
So that makes me wonder, but yeah, I'll just keep it in my
no,
back of my mind.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Uh, so you will head to the gate area. Amanda, this is rarely used because it takes a lot of energy to activate. You know, it goes to certain division HQs in other places. Uh, what what does the gate look like, and what does it feel like when you transition through?
I think it looks like, yeah, I think it looks like an ancient stone arc. It's, actually, if you're over 6 feet tall, you have to duck a little.
Okay.
Um, it has some runes on it and some decorations on it, so it's pretty enough. It, when you go through it, it feels like you're weightless for a bit, and it feels like you're drawn somewhere, very briefly. But if you really want it, you might be able to escape that draw and see where you're at. But maybe that's not utterly entirely advisable. And if once when Amanda first encountered this and asked this, she was told in no unclear terms that she should just go with the flow and not try anything. Okay, don't break this.
It is best not to resist the gate when you go through. Do not taunt the gate either. That's very important. So just keep that in mind. Uh, and so we'll see the four of you transit through to a Glasgow facility, a little more office structure, sort of official, doesn't have trash in the corners like your building does. And there's a montage of an agent, moving you out of the facility up to a runway outside where you're bundled onto a plane and then fly from Glasgow to Barcelona. It is evening when you arrive. Plane lands on, the tarmac there, opens up, and as you come out into warm spring air here in Barcelona, uh, uh, you will see Natalie. She's probably in her late 50s, early 60s. Um, she walks with a couple of the hand crutches, but she will greet you. She'll certainly will greet Wendell by name, having worked with Wendell in the past. And she will. I have a picture of her in the NPC tab, uh, and she will say, "It's about 30 minutes uh, to the seminary. Uh, I've spoken to the chancellor and Father Murata, and they'll be meeting us on site. So let's get in the van and I'll give you a little briefing. How does that sound? And settles you into a, unmarked panel van, slides the door closed, and the driver begins to drive off. And she will say, uh, so the seminary is a working school. It has two sections. There's an older section of it with church buildings and additional uh, offices now. Uh, Across the road is a secondary part of it with other classrooms and such. Uh, at night, both sections are closed off by a gate. There is a underground walkway that moves between the two portions of the school. It's primarily a an active seminary, but in recent years they have been admitting non-seminary students for classes in biblical languages, theology, Bible studies, and so on. So the population is a little more diverse than you might expect. Um, I should also mention that right now on the secondary side, there is a student literary festival going on. So we're going to have we'll have students active and out and about. Um, but that's relatively unimportant. Let me give you the details on the three deaths, and then I'll answer any questions that I can to help you out. Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So 4 days ago, a student named Adam Tudela, his body was found late at night in the walkway between the two portions of campus. Uh, he was found by a guard there. Uh, they do have cameras in the walkway, but that sort of middle section isn't particularly well covered. It's found by a guard. The guard called it in, but then a couple of students arrived. He tried to kind of move them along. However, before anything else could be examined, the body turned into a large pile of flower petals. That's the statement from the guard and the two student witnesses. Um, they were able to get the phones away from the students because the students were taking photos. Uh, it was kind of an official mess, but they were still working to try and figure out what the situation was. At the time, one of the students recognized it as being Adam Tudela. Uh, that's how we have the identification that we do. Uh, then that was 4 days ago. 2 days after that, uh, a scholar by the name of Salvador Ordonez arrived. He was scheduled to be on campus for 4 weeks. The school has a large collection of historical relics and artifacts and documents from the church. He was there to examine those. Uh, he spent the day at the library. There was a small reception in the evening. Um, he left just before midnight. And later on, at about 2 a.m., a student who was sneaking back onto campus after closing hours found his body. Uh, this time, several students arrived before the security could get the scene contained, and a number of photos were taken, as well as some video. Uh, the chancellor arrived and actually witnessed the body, this time turning into flower petals. Um, there was contact made with the civil Garda Civil, and they closed the situation down a little bit as best they could. They were still trying to figure out how they wanted to handle this the following day when the last body turned up. One of the returners by the name of Carlos Sastre Luis. Uh, he was found just inside the doors of the Cathedral of the Blessed Cross. Um, Once again, there were some witnesses to the transformation of the body into flower petals, including Father Murata, who witnessed that. Uh, After that, contacts were made to the church and to division, which is why you were all asked to come here.
Do you still have the flower petals that were found on these scenes?
And she will pull out a set of three baggies that she will hand over to you. They look like a mix of rose and other flowering petals of various colors, and they're in remarkably good condition.
Okay,
The
thank you.
the mix of the petals seems identical across the three bags.
Okay. Hmm.
So I have two things. One,
Yes.
currently Rosebud looks like a weird mix of Amanda and part of her shape is the same color as the stone of the gate arch with some runes on her face.
Oh, nice.
Um, or well, her face, because yeah. Anyway, and but Rosebud tries to determine if the flowers are an aromatic blend. Is it like a potpourri or something like that?
Yeah, I think that's easy enough to tell. I think, yeah, you will definitely get a a smell of perfume when you open them up to take a whiff that that feels very deliberate to you. Like there is a perfume smell from them that feels brilliant and calculated and deep. Does that seem like a fair answer?
Yes. Do they correlate with any knowledge I might currently have, given that I have sort of a random set of knowledge, from any dimension as something either ritual or memorial?
Okay. I think that we are kind of moving to grasping
Oh, I'm sorry.
keys here. So I think that's absolutely fair. Um, so let's work with this move. Do you think that, given what has happened, do you think you have any darkness tokens that you've generated in the lead up to this?
Um, And I get darkness tokens how again?
So if you look on your sheet there on the thing, you will see uh, in that sort of second column on the character keeper, there are some triggers that are ways that you get tokens. They are unique to your character. So for you, it's feel unwanted or ashamed, behave perfectly, ask someone a question instead of answering theirs, ask someone to set their feelings aside, or embody a condition.
Right.
Uh,
I have asked questions instead of answering questions quite
okay.
often because I don't have answers.
Okay. Do you think that like you guys will get to choose how many you want to generate from
I'll,
two to
I'll just take
four?
one.
You'll generate two. That's a minimum.
Okay.
And how many do you want to spend on the roll?
I'll spend one on the roll.
Okay. So go ahead and roll 2d6. The roller is there in the safe tools, or you can use your own dice at home.
So I'm not sure where the
Oh,
roller is.
so I'll actually copy the link. I'll put it in the chat here.
Okay, thank you. There we go. Copy that. And, okay. Do I do
So basically, you'll click the D6 up there twice to get that kind of 2d6 in your pool, and then you'll
gotcha,
click
gotcha.
the roll it button and we'll add one to it.
Right. Okay, I generated a
Wow.
12.
So that is a 13.
13.
Okay. So let me look at that. Um, so you uncover a key, but there's significant complication cost fallout. Okay. Let me look at my keys real quick here. I think that you won't get like a sense of like a particular place or things like that. But I think as you are drawing them in, as you are breathing this perfume in, the petals vibrate and the particular attention you give like seems to change them, sublimate them, and they will turn into seeds that also vibrate um, there. And so the key literally is these vibrating seeds. Um, but I think that when you do that, it doesn't just transform the ones in the bag that you're smelling, the ones in the other bags transform as well. Um, and vanish, which kind of eliminates your ability to examine those further. Does that seem like a fair cost?
Yes.
Okay. So the in the mystery map on that first line under keys, I'm going to put the vibrating seeds and rosebud. Let me come around and give Wendell and Samuel a chance here as you're going. If there's anything you want to ask Natalie, or if we cut forward, what do you think, Wendell?
Uh, I'm gonna, as the petals begin to change as soon as Rosebud gets their hands on them, I will kind of pettily like, nice first efforts. Uh, do we have any idea how they were first killed?
She'll say the the witnesses didn't get much from them. Uh, they only saw them a brief time before the bodies transubstantiated. Uh, uh, and from my talk with everyone, they didn't see any obvious like signs, ligature, or weapon wounds or anything like that.
So nothing that violent then.
No, it's definitely a mystery in that case.
Okay.
And Wendell, how many darkness tokens did you generate for your pettiness there?
I'm gonna take 3 for that one.
Okay. And Samuel?
Um, I'm flagging a bit right now.
Sure,
I think I would like to just hang back for a moment and
absolutely.
see if it gets better.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, that also generated some darkness tokens for me
Oh, okay.
because Wendell made Rosebud feel ashamed.
Excellent. Uh, so we will cut. The van will arrive. They take you in a back way to the main part of the campus there. And clearly they're not hiding you, but they are trying to keep this a little bit out of the sight of everyone. And it's Barcelona are those big blocks that are all built together. Um, and you'll come into campus. There's a church. There's several modern buildings. There's some older ones. There's definitely a grounds out in the middle with gardens and such, and those kind of paths that students cut across the grass over time. Um, and so it has a weird mix of feeling like a very old style church area, but also, you know, buildings that were built in you know, the 90s, with a very sort of modernist look to them here. You can see that there definitely are dormitories. There's a central gate that goes across, and I think probably even now you can kind of hear the sounds of music coming from across the street where that literary festival is going on. There clearly you can smell the smells of cooking and things. And you will come out, and Natalie will disembark, and there are a pair of people there waiting for you. Uh, a woman in her late 30s, early 40s, who will introduce herself as Chancellor Solares. She will greet you very excitedly, definitely very pleased to have you four here. Um, and a priest named Father Murata, who is introduced as the person supervising the treatment of the returners. He does not look nearly as pleased to see you. In fact, one might say that he looks slightly unpleased to see all of you. Um, doesn't look happy about it. But Chancellor Solaris will say, uh, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate this being able to do this. I've spoken to the Garda Civil, and as I understand it, representatives from the government spoke with division, and arrangements have been made. We've told people that there are some special investigators coming. We're trying to keep things calm. Uh, the literary festival is one of the students' highlights of the year. There's a lot of prep that goes into it. So otherwise, I might have canceled it, but I didn't want to create additional upset or rumors or speculation or confusion or anything like that. Yes, Father Murata has also spoken with the church and informed them about your being here. So how do we start this? What do we do?
I have a question. That might
Yes.
seem a little weird, but the word that was used for the transformation of the bodies was always transubstantiation. And from my knowledge of words, that is something that's rather specific maybe to the Christian faith where stuff gets
Father Murata
trans.
goes, it was not transubstantiation. Like
Okay,
very seriously,
okay.
he says that
Yeah.
and she goes,
Yeah, I was just wondering at the use of that word.
Solar says, it's been hard to describe.
Okay.
It looked like the body was there, and then suddenly there was a pile of flower petals in that shape, and then they just collapsed.
So what transubstantiation?
Father Murata goes, there's a Catholic doctrinal. Transubstantiation is an entirely different thing. Let us simply say that the body is transformed.
I'm just wondering, Father, aren't you a lot very quickly usually to claim things for your church? Claim things as wonders? Things that
Miracles.
you
Miracles.
He grits his teeth and he says, these deaths, murders, whatever they seem unnatural, and in my opinion, are not a product of the church. I have, and he holds his hand out to kind of be very serious. He says, look, I understand that there are very strange things in the world. I work with people who have been taken by entities into other places and brought back with powers that I I do not understand. So I understand there are strange things in this world, but allow me to say that in my inexpert opinion, this did not feel like a miracle or a holy thing.
What makes you say that?
That's just how it felt to me. And you can
That's
see
not good enough.
he's still really grappling with that. Look, this is why the chancellor has brought you lot in to help figure this situation out. So Harry's kind of, eh. Father Murata has some concerns about bringing, had some concerns about bringing division in. Um, the returners that we have that we're treating at present, there are 4 of them that remain. He is somewhat worried that your presence, your nature as, and she,
Omens, ma'am.
pardon?
Omens, ma'am.
Omens. Oh, that's a term. Oh, I like that. That sounds good. Your presence as omens may remind them of their past and may upset them. So that is his concern. But I think that these deaths and their strangeness trumps his concerns at this point. Don't you?
I mean, they should be, they would be upset about their fellow returner dying in a weird way. I mean, wouldn't that worry them?
Yes. Murata says, yes. I just I just ask that if you need to speak with them, that you handle them with care. They
Huh?
they are people that have been deeply traumatized by their experience.
Sure, of course. We will do our utmost to be very professional. I'm
Thank you.
looking around like, okay, I'm sure we are.
we're nothing if not caring.
Yeah.
And Solari says, well, where would you like to begin?
Actually, I would like to look at the literary festival to see if there is something there, but someone should surely talk to the students and maybe look at the other 2 victims, right?
Amanda, you're thinking about the literary festival, kind of
Yes.
going over and checking that out. Wendell, what about you?
I want to go look at the tunnel where the first victim was killed.
Fest, tunnel, Samuel? Do you want to go with one of them, or do you want to head off another way?
Um, I kind of would like to um investigate the father more,
Okay,
or
talk
in
to the
general
father.
the church structure.
Sure. And Rosebud, do you want to accompany one of them, or do you have a direction do you want to head off in?
Rosebud will follow Amanda.
Okay. All right. Let's take our second break. We take 5 for a second break, and then we'll come back and we'll work through that first cycle. Okay.
All right.
So, Wendell, you said you were heading to
The
the
tunnel.
the tunnel,
Yes.
and Chancellor Solares will take you there. Um, you will find that there is kind of almost looks like a subway walk down on this side. There is essentially police tape for the Garda Civil. They're kind of blocking off. She will say, uh, we've kept it closed for the time being, but we can reopen it or keep it closed. What do you think?
Uh, Keep it close for now. Uh, we don't know what could be anything going on. Could happen again.
And you'll walk down uh, a set of steps, and it is a short tunnel that goes across that kind of fluorescent light that is truly unappealing to the eye. They haven't installed LED lights here. Um, it has a particular smell to it, both the sort of the city smell and the smell that they use of chemicals to try and keep down any possible urine smell from people using this to relieve themselves. It does look like, it's on this side on campus, and then it opens on the other side on campus, so there isn't any really public area for that. What do you want to do?
So is this just like a plain tunnel? There's nothing extra down here. Uh,
I think the thing that will strike you is it does look like the the walls and floors are older than you would have expected. And it goes down deeper than maybe than you would have expected for just a little crossway tunnel.
I would like to use some of my powers to just like wither the materials they've made a wall out of closest to where the body would have been found. And I just want to find out what the soil behind it is like.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I think that like the rock behind it, like it goes a ways in. Like this is clearly old style rock. Um, let's do you think we're grasping for keys, or do you just want to answer that question, then want to move on to something another kind
I
of
am
approach?
grasping for keys. I am trying to figure out why here,
Okay,
if not specifically what yet.
absolutely. So let's how many darkness tokens do you want to spend on that?
I'm gonna spend two.
Okay.
I'm gonna roll my. I finally found my very heavy cast iron
Oh,
dice.
good, good.
That's a 10.
That is a 10. So you will pull, use your powers and kind of pull this first layer off from this. And before you kind of push further, you'll realize that this first layer is clearly a layer of stone that was kind of laid on, and there is what almost looks to you like maybe more medieval stone wall behind it. Uh, and there is etched in the stone there, when you kind of peel away on that medieval stone, there is, it looks like a figure, uh, uh, kind of a, I mean, is there a cape or a dress? It's hard to tell given how crude this is. There's definitely a moon in the sky, kind of indicating that it's night. And the thing that will strike you is that the figure has an outstretched hand, and it's very clearly a noose dangling from the hand of that figure.
So the woman that was with me, Chancellor something? Yeah.
Solaris, yes.
Uh, what
You
is
you
a
can see
chancellor
she's
in this
she's holding
context?
she's holding back, saying something about you damaging the wall. That clearly, like she's maybe even biting her knuckle at that point. And she will look at it and she will say, "What is that?"
I was hoping you would tell me.
Uh, that's not like anything I've ever seen. And she'll pull out her phone and take a picture of it. I've never seen anything like that before.
News. Could be justice. Could be just plain death.
The facilities here are very old. The church has been using the site for centuries. Um, but oh, if that was done uh, there certainly before my time.
Well, I'd hazard a guess that it's very old, at the very least, then.
That feel like a good place to cut?
Yeah.
Okay. Samuel, you said you wanted to look more into the church or church people stuff. How do you want to do that? Is that talking to Father Murata? Is it going around and kind of looking at things? What do you want to do here? You're muted.
What struck me about Father Murata was how defensive and cagey he was, almost like he is ashamed of something or something to hide. And maybe that even, called out a bit to me, a sense of shame.
Hmm.
And I'm wondering also why they have this returner program in the first place. Um, like why they are collecting weapons of mass destruction in their hospital wing. Um, and what I'm going to do is, and I think that probably leads to grasping keys,
Yeah.
is that I open um, a like a what's it called, a closet that is like totally dark and in shadow, and I
Uh-huh.
step into the shadow, and through the mycelium of shadow, um, the mycelium obscurum, I will see if I can find some sort of hidden archives that I can step out of the shadows into and just try to get some background information, what they are doing with those people there, and if there's more to the flowers. Like this is a way that, I mean, yes, I understand on a like theological level that it is not transubstantiation because there the body doesn't change,
Right.
but he was on top of that also very defensive and cagey about that.
Uh, so I think that we will see you
Mm-hmm.
using those shadow powers to kind of drawing yourself to a place of meaning. And I think you'll find yourself in Father Murata's office
Mm-hmm.
in the building that they're using for their returners there.
Sure.
Um, it is definitely a clinical building, like it's definitely set up for treatment and so on. It looks like they have more rooms than they have occupants here.
Mhm.
And you will kind of start to look around. There's probably some rough drafts of some notes from Father
Mhm.
Murata expressing his worry about damaging the mental health of the patients. Um, and I think that reading through, there's definitely sincerity there.
Mhm.
Like that clearly seems to be a a primary concern for him in a way that doesn't feel uh, uh,
He doesn't want to.
manufactured.
He doesn't want to damage the merchandise.
Um, let's have you grasp for keys, and then we'll maybe give you some context for a question that you asked and give you a clue here
Mhm.
or a key here, depending on what you roll.
Yes, and also I'm thinking like, what does the Holy See have to say about any and all of that? Um, Let me just quickly before I do that, see if I have um any darkness token. No, I don't because we set them to 0.
Yep. Is there anything that
Um,
in these exchanges that you've done leading up to this that you think might have generated some?
mm, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
Well then, flat roll then.
Yeah.
By the way, this resetting the darkness tokens, is that do I have to do that or can I do that?
Oh, in between sessions, I usually
Mm,
do that just because time has passed.
okay.
I keep the conditions, but the darkness token things just seems more, uh, uh, it's just a more mechanical thing, and that's
Okay.
purely my option on that.
Okay. Nope, that's a 5.
That is a 5. So, do you want to mark ruin to uncover a key?
Yes, please.
So, I think that you will find here in the father's sort of clearly concealed, private papers area. Maybe get some idea that it does seem like this program for returners started about 10 years ago,
Mhm.
and that it started with actually there was a priest that this had happened to, and Father Murata knew that priest and tried to help him, but was unable to. That that priest couldn't cope with the returning back to this world, and something happened. And it seems to you, kind of looking through that, clearly Father Murata then moved to try and see if there were more people like this, and eventually bringing them in. But you will also find that he's got what looks like in his uh, thing a folder that looks like a maybe a dissertation. It doesn't have like a credits page or anything, so you're not sure. Um, but it's done in that very much that very specific format with footnotes and things like that. And flipping through it, it looks like a dissertation on the role of monsters, Omen class monsters and otherwise, in Franco's dictatorship.
Mhm.
Uh, like, and clearly that Franco did employ certain kinds of creatures in there, and uh, kind of look through it. There's no, again, no credits on it. It might be by Murata, or it might be by someone else, and Murata got a hold of it.
I mean, yeah, there were strong connections between the church and Franco. I'm just wondering, since I took a
Ruined, yeah.
ruin, how does that bring me closer to my
Tell me,
being an angel?
how did you participate in that?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. What do we
Um,
see here? How does it remind you of something you did? Yeah.
mhm. I think that reminds me of that mission that we talked earlier, and the part that was not shown earlier was that I did not, in fact, rescue that person. I brought them there because they were a priest, and they were meant to like, or maybe a Catholic mystic trying to, yeah, no, I got it, a Catholic mystic like wandering through a door of power, trying to get like otherworldly visions and connections, and I was tasked to bring them back, and on the orders of the church, I killed them. I thought,
Hmm.
and then the disappearances started.
And I think there is a moment there as you're reading through this, as you're reading about the monsters, as you're recollecting that
Let me
you,
quickly
yes,
let me just refine
sure,
that. Not on the orders of the church, because they don't give me orders, but our interests aligned.
right. Your interests aligned, but it also was, some feeling that you were in some way obeying,
A higher
in
power.
some way following your programming. And there
Mm,
is a bit in your mind that reminds you of how good it felt
yes.
to serve.
Hmm.
And I think you have to fight your way a bit back from that. Does that seem fair?
Absolutely.
Okay. Uh, Amanda, Rosebud, uh, you will, Chancellor Solaris has kind of pointed you to where this is. You will walk through the gates. There's like a guard there, kind of half snoozing. They've got a 12 o'clock curfew for students. You see, there's a very wide road. There are shops down the way, but again, all built up building. And across the way, there's a sort of similar gate, and there's a big student quad with some buildings around it. And you can see that people have stalls set up and like banners and things. And it's clear that there are students over there and members of the public who are drinking and eating. There's some people selling books that have been written by students for, their clubs and things. And there are probably a few authors who have been brought in as guests who are sitting there who have had enough white wine to get them comfortably numb at this point. And it seems very pleasant.
Before we go, I think I would like to look a little more human
Okay.
because I think wandering around with having writing scoot across my face, that might be a little weird. I understand it, or do I understand it? No, I don't. Let's say I don't, but I will turn to Rosebud and say, Rosebud, can you make your skin look less stony, maybe a little bit?
Ah, yes. What should I look like?
Oh, like I'm looking at some human student walking around like that, maybe. Basically, not exactly, but like hair, skin, eyes, nose, stuff.
Very well. And Rosebud reforms to be a small, like I don't know, like a 13-year-old girl student with proper uniform.
Well,
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
está muy bien.
Bueno,
Okay, so I think we will then go. And as I said, Amanda might draw some glances, but what Amanda's looking for is there's art, right? And I imagine being a book, Amanda just reads very quickly. And what Amanda's looking for are phrases that have something to do with other dimensions and something that repeats.
Interesting. Yeah, I think you'll move around. It is very pleasant here because this is about the written word. This is about writing. There are people that enjoy it. There are writers there. Um, no one looks at either of you as out of place. It's a very convivial, companionable area there. I think that there's definitely cheap, good food available. Do you eat, Amanda?
Uh, yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
I think Amanda has tried it, found it weird.
okay.
But it's something that humans do, and I don't think she needs it, but she will do it for social reasons, I guess.
Uh, and it does feel to me like you're also moving around, talking to people, and it does feel like you're grasping for a key.
Oh,
Is that
definitely, I am,
okay?
yes.
How many darkness tokens do you want to spend on that?
I'd spend two. I've got some. I asked somebody to listen to my wisdom, like when I told Rosebud to look at the more human.
Sure.
And I'm rolling 2d6 and I'm adding two, so let's see how that goes. Yep, it's a 10.
That is a 10.
10.
That is great.
Uh,
Um, so I think that as you are kind of moving around here, kind of looking for things about other dimensions, some of it is students who have written uh, terrible fanfic for various TV shows that have been published into little amateur press collections, and also some speculative fiction and sci-fi and things like that. But one thing that you will see uh, that like a number of different booths and tables have copies of that you get the sense that these documents, whatever this little printed zine is a little illicit because they keep it kind of hidden away and such. And it's clearly not sold on any of the official tables. But you will kind of like eventually able to get a hold of one of these things, and you will
load someone
see,
over
yeah, uh, it
something.
someone has written clearly a uh, conspiracy theory expose on the history of uh, this seminary and how previously uh, it was used as a training ground for exorcists from the church. And there's a whole big, long thing about that. And, the scandals associated with that and how they closed it down and how the church has wiped that history and all of that kind of thing.
Oh,
And it's written with particularly sensationalist language, but it's definitely there are like they have references and things. So it's not just made up. There's clearly basing it on something.
okay. So they
That's
did some actual research instead of just looking at TikTok videos or
exactly,
something.
yes.
Cool. I will
Um,
return this, obviously, because it's not mine.
okay.
And also, I have the text in my memory now.
Yeah. Yeah, feel free to add that to
Oh,
the
uh-huh.
keys on the mystery tab. Rosebud, what do we see you doing as Amanda is is doing this search around, looking at books, things like that? Are you falling behind in their wake? Are you doing something different? What do we think we see?
So Rosebud is trying to keep close proximity to Amanda, um, but she also is um, just open to interacting with other students. And when she sees what Amanda has, the pamphlet that Amanda has, Rosebud wanders off to see if she can find any students with a similar pamphlet. Now that she knows what we're looking for.
Absolutely. I think you'll find a couple of students that are off kind of in a corner, and they're clearly looking at it and conversing, talking with one another about the implications of that. Um, and do you just listen in, or do you try to join into their conversation?
She starts out being shy and listening in, but I have um, the power of what was it? Uh, Uncanny charm,
Oh, yeah.
and so whether she listens in the conversation or whether she starts to participate, she basically is trying to um, she's like, "Oh, that's very scary. What does it all mean?"
And they are, despite the perhaps age difference between sort of college and younger kids, I think, your charm kind of draws them in, and they will begin to tell you, r rumors about the seminary, kind of scary stuff. They have a lot of that kind of ghost story uh uh tales that they're telling. And then they will, bring up that they know that there have been some deaths on campus. And of course, the administration is trying to cover it up, trying to hide it. We know, you know, one of them clearly knew that first victim, and kind of describes Tudela as, in not glowing terms, like, he was kind of a user. I know that he had roommates and he wouldn't pay his rent. Always said that he was going to have the money the next week. I know some people who knew him. But of course, they haven't said anything about that. Uh, and you will also get the sense that they know that there's a psychiatric care facility, the returners facility, but they also know that people don't talk about what's going on there. And, they believe that, okay, these must be people who had exorcisms and now they're getting more psychological treatment, that kind of thing. They're kind of putting all this together. They have this whole story that they are building about that. But the students are like, they are uh, fascinated by this, not scared yet, though. They are weirded out by the situation. Does that seem like a reasonable way to put that?
Yeah, so there's one little twist, which is that ever since Wendell shamed Rosebud, Rosebud has been smelling like the flower petals.
Mm.
So I don't know if they noticed suddenly that Rosebuds, if any of them were there when the transformations happened.
Well, let's have you roll for grasp keys.
Okay, let's see.
How many tokens do you want to spend for that?
I'm going to spend two this time. We'll see what happens. Oops, too many. That would be 11.
That'd be 11. So I think that, let me think how I want to do this here. That one of the people that's there is one of the witnesses to that last transformation, the one of the returner. And they will say, I actually found something when we saw the flower petals. I picked it up. I haven't told anybody because it's very strange and I don't know what to make of it. Uh, and they will, they clearly conspiratorially kind of pull you in and they'll reach in their purse and they will pull out a set of very old, archaic looking keys, like kind of ancient, big, honking, stereotypically large keys. Uh, but there's an electric key fob attached to them. She goes, I don't know what this is, what this is about. Um, and that is the key. And I think the conversation kind of trails off. Um, they still have the keys. You're going to have to figure out if you want to try and get that away from them. But I think kind of stand up to look around, and you will see across the way, in amongst this crowd, there is a person standing there, and they are watching you, like eyes are absolutely on you. It looks like maybe they've been selling food or maybe something else to the students here, but they're watching you. And I think for a moment, when you see this figure, you feel what your death is going to feel like. Just a sudden breeze that passes over you.
Right. So just for a brief moment, Rosebud dematerializes and flickers out of existence and then flickers back in.
All right. And we'll probably start at that point next time, I think, with that figure there, following up on that. Does that seem reasonable? I have added those clues into various places. We will take up with this next time. Right now, we're going to go and do the end of session check-in for XP, and then we'll do stars and wishes. Uh, so this is, I always forget where we go for this. End of session questions. Let's start with Wendell. Uh, did you express your monstrous nature and or your humanity?
Not quite, I wouldn't
Okay.
say.
Did you learn something significant about yourself and or your impending ruin?
Nope.
Did you learn something significant about a fellow monster? And that can even be the bond questions earlier on.
I learned that Rosebud is real weird, but I don't know if that.
Let's give you an XP for that. What was your impulse question?
uh, if did I protect someone pure and beautiful? I did not do that.
Okay. Uh, and you did unlock a key, so you don't need to mark ruin. Let's come to Samael. Um, what was your impulse question, Samael?
My impulse question was, did you learn something significant about your prophecy? And I did.
Yeah. So mark XP for that. Did you express your monstrous nature and or express your humanity?
If I think that, what would you say? Does it count when I earlier spoke about the type of violence that the authoritarian violence that
Oh yeah.
I used to Perpetrate.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you learn something significant about yourself and or your impending ruin?
Yeah, I think where we learned significantly that I used to work with a Catholic church, which is
Hmm.
maybe not a stretch for us, an angel, but still new
Yeah,
information.
mark that. Did you learn something significant about a fellow monster?
I did not engage that much with my fellow monsters today, so no,
Okay. And
unless Franco counts.
yeah, there is that. And you did uncover a key, so you don't mark ruin for that.
Hmm.
Amanda, what about your impulse?
My impulse was did you claim a fragment of your memories, which I did.
Yeah, definitely. Uh, did you express your monstrous nature and or your humanity?
I mean, I've been trying to explain humanity or what I understand of it to
Yes.
Rosebud, so I guess.
Yeah, let's mark XP for that. Did you learn something significant about yourself and or your impending ruin?
I don't know. I mean, I recovered a memory, but I think I got an XP for that already,
Okay,
so
it's up to you. Did you learn something significant about a fellow monster?
absolutely, I learned Rosebud's name.
Okay, so we'll mark XP for that, and you don't have to mark ruin.
Yes.
Rosebud, uh, what? Let's start with your impulse question. What is that?
It is, did you harm yourself in pursuit of perfection?
Don't think so this
Um,
time, unless you can
Go ahead.
think of something that we could frame that with.
Um, I would say yes,
Okay.
because in her pursuit of so Rosebud doesn't have instantaneous answers always. That'd be too convenient.
Yep.
So she has to go through sort of a sorting process, and as she was trying to sort deeper into uh, um, the petals, she apparently transgressed in her companion
Yeah.
nature.
Yeah. We'll give you an XP for that. Did you express your monstrous nature and or your humanity?
Um, I mean, I don't know if her constant shifting of her form counts as expressing her monstrous nature.
Oh yeah, that feels right. So an XP for that. Did you learn something significant about yourself and or your impending ruin?
Actually, yes, the last thing that happened, she learned that she can die,
Yes,
which she really wasn't clear on.
I think that's great. So an XP for that. Do you feel like you learned something significant about a fellow monster?
Um, I'm going to say she now has many questions about Samael and um, Amanda,
Hmm.
but she hasn't learned anything yet. I'm currently
Okay.
she just like she has lots of curiosity.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
didn't she learn that Amanda doesn't actually have all the answers and doesn't know all that much herself?
Oh, that's
Um,
interesting, Ty.
yeah, I mean, I can go either way
Yeah.
because
No, I
she
think I
learns.
should I think you should always lean into getting more XP.
Okay.
There's no real min-max about it. So I think that's fair given that context. I think the back and forth between you and Amanda certainly plays that out. Um, so we're going to do quick stars and wishes. Basically, stars for anything you want to call out as particularly good, wishes being things you definitely want to see for your character. I want to start with Samael for that, who then froze, of course, because that's the way these things work. I'll give Dominic a moment. Amanda, I'm going to throw to you.
I mute myself. Oh, stars all around. This was fun. I like the between the downtime scenes.
Hmm.
I love Wendell interacting with the librarian and Samuel being kind of bummed because I have the feeling he would have liked to reconnect with Lilith, but couldn't, and that was also very interesting. I loved Rosebud showing up and deciding on their name. That was cool. And yeah, and I like the mystery, and I like going to Barcelona, and that the whole returners thing that I really like that. That was great. And I also like Snippy being so
Hmm.
snippy.
Yes. Anything you want to throw out wishes wise?
Um, I would like to talk more to the other two characters, but also to Rosebud, and I would like to understand what's going on here. No, I'm fine. It's good. It's all
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. We'll definitely try, since we kind of did a round of kind of clue gathering, we'll try and kind of get some character scenes on the table next time before we move to more clue gathering. I think that's fair. Samuel, Rose again. It's going to happen every time I call, isn't it?
It's a spell now.
It is absolutely. Uh, Rosebud, anything you want to throw out as stars or wishes?
First of all, I just want to say that I have really enjoyed all of the um, just the thoughtful, knowledgeable participation from everybody. It's really nice to be in a game where people are, um, I would say, contributing bits and pieces of culture. That's very different from a lot of games.
Hmm.
So that stars for everybody. Um, and as far as wishes go, at the moment, I don't. I'm just trying to like take the basic idea I have for Rosebud and just try and firm up what that means. I will say, if you have any input from Division about, or uh, from your perspective about aspects of Rosebud's understanding of different realities, I'm open to that.
Okay, yeah, let me think about that. That's a really good point. And Wendell.
Uh, I don't think I have anything that haven't hasn't been said.
Okay. Anything wishes wise?
I want to interact with Rosebud. I kind of shot
Okay,
off in a different direction there, but
absolutely.
yeah.
Let's make that like one of the first scenes that we try to work out for next time. I think that's fair. Um, yeah, I think we lost um, our other character in that, since Dominic Samuel bounced in and out. I suspect that there's a little frustration there. But I will check in with them in between. I am going to stop the recording now.